Hello guys, welcome to another video in the series of coding. Today we have with us a problem that is called palindromic substrings. Given a string, your task is to count how many palindromic substrings are there in the string. The substrings with different start indices or end indices are counted as different substrings even when they consist of the same characters. So let's take an example. Suppose we are given race car. How do you find how many total palindromic substrings are there in this string? So what we can do, the brute force approach that we can think of is, why don't we list all the substrings of this? Okay, so I've just listed all the substrings of wraith car. When we start from R, then we have all these substrings. When we start from A, we have all these substrings. When we start from C, all these. When we start from E, when we start from C, A, R, we have all these substrings. Now what we can do is, we can just count which are palindromes or not. For example, R is a palindrome, A is a palindrome, C is a palindrome, E is a palindrome. Again, C is a palindrome, A is a palindrome, R is a palindrome. Then you can see all these things are not palindromes, which are marked with cross. Then you have race car, again a palindrome, ACECA is a palindrome, CEC is a palindrome, and then nothing else is palindrome. So in this, if you count, right, if you count the number of palindromes, how many will you get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 single characters are palindrome. You have race car complete one palindrome, 8, and then ACECA 9, and then CEC 10. So you have total number of palindromes in this 10, and your answer is 10, which you have to return. But how do you reach to this answer, and how can you make the algorithm most time efficient, right? How can you make it better? So what can we do is, see, if we think of the brute force approach, just listing all the substrings and then finding the number of palindromes, how much time complexities is going to take us? Let's try to find. So suppose we list, substrings of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. So it will just be 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to n, right? You have to just sum up to n. N is what? N is nothing but the size of the element or the string that you have taken. For example, n is 7. Then you have to count 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7, right? You have to sum this series in this particular example to find the total number of substrings. If you keep on listing all the substrings, that is nothing but n into n plus 1 by 2, right? So it will be this is the formula, n into n plus 1 by 2, which will give you total number of substrings. Now for finding if each substring is a palindrome or not, you will at least take O of n time complexity. Okay, for example, if you take any substring, take this substring, to find if it's a palindrome or not, what you do, you start, how do you know if it's a palindrome or not? You check if the first and last character are equal, then you check if the second and the second last character are equal, third and the third last character are equal, and so on. So you will again have to iterate over the entire string. So you will just multiply n with this. So you will have at least, maximum you will multiply n with this. So you will have O of n cube complexity. So what will happen is, O of n cube is a very 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 bad time efficient solution, which we don't like. So what we can do is, we can look at the hint that they have given to us in the question and try to think of a better way. So first, let me just erase all these things, and then let's go over and look at the hint which they have given to us in the question. What is the hint they have given us? They have told us that, show hint 1. How can we reuse a previously computed palindrome to compute a larger palindrome? Okay, so previously computed. What does previously computed say? It means use dynamic programming, because in dynamic programming you use a previously computed value to find the next value. So we can try to use dynamic programming to make it better time efficient. How? Okay, let's think why we need to use dynamic programming. So for example, here you have this particular value, race car. Okay, suppose I want to know if it's a palindrome or not. So what I do in my brute force approach, I compute if if the first and last characters are matching or not. Then I see if second and second last characters are matching or not. What if I just know that the inner string is a palindrome? What if I've already computed if the inner string is a palindrome or not? Where have I computed? See, I have computed already here. I already have ACECA. When I've checked already if ACECA is a palindrome or not. If I know it's a palindrome, then I know outer elements R and R are equal, and the inner string is a palindrome. So the entire string will be a palindrome. Now, how do I know whether ACECA is a palindrome or not? Okay, if I already computed the inner string CEC? Let me check. See, I have already computed whether CEC is a palindrome or not. And how do I know whether CEC is a palindrome or not? See, I have already computed the inner string E, whether that is a palindrome or not. So I already know if E is a palindrome. E is a palindrome, then CEC is a palindrome, ACECA is a palindrome, because of which race car finally becomes a palindrome. So we can use previously computed values, and for that we can use dynamic programming. So let me just erase all this, and then let's try to build our DP table after this. So let me just erase these, and let's build the DP table now. How can we build the DP table? So This is the DP table, right? So I have just listed the string in the right hand side and in the left hand side. Now, how do I build the DP table? What does this side represent? This side represents start value, at which character is it starting, and this side represents end value, at which character it is ending. What do I mean by this? Okay, let's take some particular example. Suppose this particular row and this particular column. Okay, this means starting at A and ending at C. Which string is that? A C E C. Starting at A, starting at the second character, ending at the fourth character C. A C E C. This box corresponds to whether this string is a palindrome or not. If it is a palindrome, I will store true here, otherwise I will store false here. This is my DP table, which is going to be boolean. I'm going to store true and false, and in the end I'm going to count number of trues, and I'm going to return that as my answer, because I have to count the number of total palindrome. Okay, now we have seen the logic, but how do we actually build the DP table? Okay, so let's start building from the simplest thing. What is the simplest thing? Simplest thing is just single characters, right? Simplest thing are just single characters. See, single characters are R, A, C, E, C, A, R. Where do they lie in the DP table? In the DP table, they are at the diagonal values. You can see starting at R, ending at R. This is the first character. This is just the string corresponding to this particular R, right? So this string, is this a palindrome? So see, all single characters are a palindrome. So for all single characters, I can simply fill true in my DP table without even thinking. What does this box correspond to? The string, the substring starting from character E, ending at character E itself, or starting from character number 4, ending at character number 4. So it is just single character E, and it is true because it is a palindrome. So in my DP table, I will fill all these diagonal values as true. This is the first thing that we take care. Okay, so I have by mistakenly erasen all the characters, because I have given eraser that. So let me just fill everything again. So this is race car. Okay, now I have to build this DP table, and this represents start, the character from where it is starting, and this represents from where it is ending. Okay, and what did we see? We saw that all the diagonal values are true, because diagonal values represent single characters starting from that character itself, ending at that character index itself. Okay, what about the next values? Okay, let's look at this. Starting from R, ending at A. Okay, this particular string RA, is this particular string RA a palindrome or not? So let's see if RA is a palindrome or not. How do we know if RA is a palindrome? So is RA a palindrome? If we have a string of length 2, is that a palindrome? How do we check? So for checking strings of length 2, it is very simple. Okay, see, these are all strings of length 2. Some examples of strings of length 2. Okay, so see, in this, E and BB are palindrome. Why? Because the first and last character are just equal, and these two are not palindrome. RA and CE are not palindrome. BB and EE are palindromes, because both the characters are same, and here both the characters are different. So for checking whether a string is a palindrome of length 2 or not, it is very simple. What do? You just see if both the characters are equal or not. So in this, R and E are not equal, so we will fill false in the DP table. What about AC? Okay, string AC starting from character A, ending at character C, the string AC. Is that a palindrome? That is again false. What about the string starting from character C, ending at character E? CE. CE. Is CE a palindrome? False. Right. What about EC? EC is also not a palindrome. What about CA? CA is also not a palindrome. What about AR? AR is also not a palindrome. So in our particular example, no string of length 2 is a palindrome. Okay. Let us move forward. So let me erase all this and let us move forward. Now let's try to go to strings of length 3. Okay, so let's go to the first string. Okay, that means this particular box starting at R, ending at C. What is this? This particular string is RAC. Okay, we have to check if RAC is a palindrome or not. How do you check for strings of greater than length 2? So what we do, we check if first character is a palindrome, last character is a palindrome or not, and then we check the inner character. The inner character value we can obtain from previously computed value in the dynamic programming table. Okay, now you see, for strings of length 3, always the inner character will be just one length, so it is going to be always a palindrome. All single characters are going to be true, right? All single characters are having true. All single characters are palindrome. So we have to just check if the first and last character are palindrome or not, are same or not. If the first and last character are same, then strings of length 3 will be a palindrome, because innermost character is whatever, it doesn't concern us, we don't care. It is going to be a palindrome if the first and the last characters are same or not. So let's try to look at this example. So string starting from R and ending at C, RAC, is that a palindrome? No, it is not, because R is not equal to C. What about this box? A starting from A, ending at A, ACE, is that a palindrome? False. It's also not a palindrome. What about string CEC? Okay, now it's interesting. CEC. Okay, let me erase this here. CEC. Is CEC a palindrome? Yes, CEC a palindrome because see, if you check the if you check the value of E is a palindrome. Okay, already we know that E is a palindrome, and then first and last characters are equal, CEC, so it is going to be true. What about next? What about the next character? What about the next string? Next string is ECA, right? This particular box E and ending at this box A, ECA. Is this a palindrome? This is not a palindrome, so I feel false. What about the next box? This particular box starting from character C, ending at character R, CAR. That is not a palindrome, so I feel false. Okay, so I have filled all the strings of length 3 also. So let me just erase these blue symbols so that I am having space for the next particular computations that I do. So these are all false. Okay, and just we have found one true. Okay, and let me write this properly. This is also false. Okay, let's go to the next particular value. Okay, now we are going to see substrings of length 4. Okay, so let's see R starting from R ending at E. Is that a palindrome? So you see that is the string race. When will it be a palindrome? We just check first and last character, and for the middle strings we find the value from the DP table. Okay, here we see R and E are itself different. If first and last characters are not same, how can this be a palindrome? So we simply fill false. Okay, so let's do this quickly now. If we have got the logic, I think it will be easier to fill the DP table. Okay. Now, what about the next string starting from A, ending at C, right? In this particular box which we have filled, A, C, E, C. Is this a palindrome? False, because A first and last character, which is A and C, are not equal to each other. Okay, so this is also false. Let's build the next particular string of substring of length 4, starting from C, ending at this particular A. Okay, starting from C, ending at A, we have to fill this particular box. Is this a palindrome? C, C, A. Is this a palindrome? False, because we just check first and last character. First we have to check first and last character, that are itself not equal, so we don't care if the inner string is a palindrome. First and last characters are not equal, there is no way that it is going to be palindromic string, so it is false. Okay, let's check the last string of size 4. Okay, ECAR, is that a palindrome? No, it is also check now. So in this, what we know is this is false, right? So E and R, starting from E and ending at R, this is not a palindrome. So now let's try to move forward. Let's check strings of size 5. Okay, so suppose strings of size 5, what we have is here, we start from this particular value R and C, ending at C, starting at R. Okay, RACEC. R is not equal to C. Okay, these two are not equal. That means even if the inner string is a palindrome, we don't care. We have to just check first and last character first, and then we'll move on to the inner character. So R is not equal to C. This is definitely false. Okay, let's move on to the next string. So let's move on to the next string, and yeah. So next string starting with A and ending at A. Okay, now ACECA, very important. Let's look at this example. ACECA. First and last characters are equal. A and A are equal. Now, in this particular example, for this particular box, which we have to fill, is this string a palindrome? ACECA, it is a palindrome. How do we know that? See, we know A and A, first and last characters are equal. We need to just check the innermost characters. Now, we need not iterate and check again. We can just look at the value from here, from the DP table for CEC. In the DP table, we had filled that the string CEC is a palindrome. It is true. The inner string, okay, this is the string ACECA. In this particular example, we already had filled the value of CEC to be true. It is a palindrome. So we just check the first and last characters. They are equal. That means, and the inner string is a palindrome. That means the entire complete string is also a palindrome. We have to fill true there. Okay. So how do we check the innermost string? From the DP table, we just go one. We just go one row above and one column minus. Okay, because see, you have to check the inner string. You just increase one row and we decrement one column value, so you reach the inner string. So if that is true and first and last characters are equal, then you fill true here. So this is very important example, and we can just move forward. So that is also true. So let me fill it. This is true, and I will erase this, and we can move forward to the next example. Now, how do we check the next string? So when we have to check the next string, we will check if the string starting from character C, ending at character R, CECAR, is that a palindrome? No, it's not a palindrome, because C is not equal to R. First and last characters are itself not equal. How can that be palindrome? Okay, let's move forward. So now we have the next string. Now we have strings of length 6. R starting from R ending at A. Is this string a palindrome? No, it's not a palindrome. Okay, so we have to just insert false because we just check the first and last character. They are not equal. There is no point in going over. Okay, now let's check this particular. Starting from A ending at R. This particular string. For this particular box, this is again false because A and R are not equal. First and last characters are not equal. We don't care of the inner string when first and last characters are not equal. Okay, now let's do the last example, which is very interesting. So now we have to check this. Is this a string starting from index, first index and ending at the last index? Is race car a palindrome? It is a palindrome, but we need not iterate over race car and check. We know first and last characters are equal. R is equal to R. Then we have to check the innermost string. How is the innermost string a palindrome? We have already stored the value of it true. That is true. It is a palindrome. Innermost string is a palindrome. First and last characters are equal. So here also it will become equal to true. Right. So now we have filled the DP table. All these values will be false because what do these values represent? These values are just, for example, starting at index number, starting at character C and ending at character A. It will be in the reverse direction, right? Suppose starting at this C and ending at A, it will represent this string CA in the reverse direction. But we have already taken ACEC in the positive direction and fill this DP table. So the lower half of the DP table, we can give everything as false. Okay, we can give everything here as false. We need not look at this. We have already seen the strings in positive direction. Now we can just count the number of trues. So you see, you have these true values, and if you count all these true values, then you will be able to get the total number of palindromic strings. And you count here, it will be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and for this you can return 10 as the answer. So let's quickly code this now once we have built the logic. So how do we code this? So let's start coding this. And how do we code this? So what we do is, we have to declare a DP table. We know, so we will declare a DP table, and it's going to store true and false value. So it will take boolean value. In C++ it is bool. So, and we declare this DP table. What do we give the name? We'll just call it DP, short for dynamic programming. And what will be the size of it? It will be same, n cross n size, where n is the size of string. So I will just give s dot size, and I give vector bool, and same number of rows and number of columns are equal, and it is having the same size as a string. And initially what I can give is, I can give all values as false, and if your string is a palindrome, we will make the values as true. Okay, so now what do we do next? After doing this, we declare a count variable that we plan to return. So int count is equal to 0 initially. Finally what we can do is, we can return this count variable, which will count the number of palindromic strings. Okay, now let's start writing the code. So what do? We declare 4 for loops, and we have to iterate diagonal wise. How do we iterate diagonal wise? Okay, very interesting. Let's think about this. So what do? So first, what do we have to iterate? We have to go over the elements. Let me write the indices of the elements here. Suppose we have these elements. Okay, 0 1. These are the indices. Let me let me erase this, and let me write the indices properly, so that, so this is a new type of problem, different type of problem, where we have to iterate diagonal wise. Usually in dynamic programming, you may not always iterate diagonal wise. So this is a very important type of problem, and it's unique type of problem. We have to count the total number of palindromic substrings. Okay, so suppose these are indices. How do I start? How did I fill my DP table? I fill my DP table diagonal wise, right? First this diagonal, next this diagonal, next this diagonal. So what did I fill? I filled first 0 0. After that, what did I fill? I filled 1 1. I filled 2 2. Then I filled 3 3. Then I filled 4 4. Then I filled 5 5. Then I filled 6 6. Right? So this is what I did. Okay, after filling this, what did I do? I went to the next diagonal. First I filled the first diagonal. I filled this. Then I went to the next diagonal. I filled this diagonal. How did I fill this diagonal? What are the indices of that diagonal? You can see it is starting from 0 1. Starting from 0 1, and it is ending. Where is it ending? First it is 0 1. What are the all the elements of this diagonal? 0 1, 1 2, then 2 3, then 3 4, then 4 5, then 5 6. Then I filled this particular diagonal. Next time what did I do? Next time I fill the next diagonal. How did I fill the next diagonal? So I started with 0 2. I started with 0 2, and then I fill the next value. So how did I fill the next values? I just increment 1 1 each time. Then it's easy. So once you got the first value 0 2, then you just increment 1 1 each time. 1 3, then 2 4, then 3 5, then 4 6. Okay, how did I fill the next diagonal? So next diagonal values, what are those? So I start with 0 3, and then I fill all the next value. So I increment 1 and 1 each time. So 1 4, then 2 5, then 3 6, and so on. How did I fill the next values? I start with 0 4, and then I increment 1 1 each time. So 1 5, and then 2 6. What about the next diagonal? So next diagonal, I started with 0 5, I incremented 1 6. What about the last diagonal? What is the index, and what is the row and column index? 0 6. So how do I fill these values? How do I iterate? So I can declare two variables, right? I can declare two variables I and j, and I can iterate over them. But you see, each time if I just get the starting value, after that I have to just increment I and j one time, right? Each time. So suppose you get 0 3, then you increment I by 1, you get 1. Increment j by 1, you get from 3, you get 4. Then you increment I by 1, you get 2. You increment j by 1, you get 4 plus 1 5, and so on. So iterating over this for loop is easy. Once you have the starting elements, how do you have the starting elements? So you will have to declare another variable. So we can declare another variable, okay, some variable where, okay, we can call it difference, initial difference. So just difference keeps on increasing. First you have 0 0, first difference is 0, next difference is 1, next difference is 2, difference just 2 minus 0, 3 minus 0, 4 minus 0. So initially difference is 0, then difference increments to 1, then difference increments to 2 in this case, then difference increments to 3, and so on. So you can have, two for loops, and that's what we are going to do. So for int difference equal to 0, where difference is just the difference between the initial I and j value. So these are the initial I and j values. Difference is 0. What is difference ranging from? Difference is 0 to, difference ranges till 6. Now what is 6? Race car is of size 7, so difference should be less than 7, right? So difference is 6 maximum, so difference is less than s dot size, and then difference plus plus. So this is the outermost for loop. And how can you declare the inner for loop? How do you do? So inner for loop, you have to just take two variables. So for int I equal to, what do you do? I is starting from 0, and j is also starting from 0 in the first case. So I is nothing but, I is just 0. And what is j? J is nothing but difference. Each time whatever is difference, that is j. Next time difference is 1, so j is 1. Next time difference is 2, j is 2. So that is the inner for loop. After this, what is the condition? When do we have to stop? When do we have to stop the inner for loop? See, every time you are going till 6, every time you are going till j value is becoming 6, there you are stopping. So that is the condition that you will give. So j is less than s dot size, and then you can give I plus plus, and you can give j plus plus. So that is what you can, the conditions that can be given. Now what do? We have to check the conditions. So how do we check the conditions? What are the conditions that we have to check? If first of all, if difference is equal to 0, right? That means, in the first case, right, in the first case when you are going over these elements, so these are all single character elements. The elements at these indices, these are all the first diagonal elements, and these are all single character elements. So in the single character elements, what do you do? So if difference is equal to 0, that is the condition check. What can you do? You have to just give everything as true. So dp of I j is equal to true. Okay, what about the next diagonal? If difference is equal to 1, if difference is equal to 1, that means you are at the second diagonal, right? You are at the second diagonal, you are at all these indices. Here the difference between I and j is equal to 1. You are at the second diagonal. So in the second diagonal, you have string of characters of length 2. You have string of substring of length 2. So in substring of length 2, it is very simple. How do you check? So you have to just check if s of I is equal to, if s of I is equal to s of j. If that is true, okay, if the characters are same, for example bb, then it is going to be a palindrome. Okay, what if you have something like ab? It is not going to be a palindrome. If it is a palindrome, what do? You make dp of ij equal to true, else dp of ij is equal to false. So that is it for strings of substrings of length 2. Okay, else. So I can give else, and then else if, and then else, because all the three conditions are, different from each other. So what do you do? Else, what do you do? Else, what you can do, if substring is of length greater than 2, then what you have to check? So you have to first just simply check if s of I is equal to s of j. If the first and last characters are equal, then we will have to just check the innermost string. So dp of ij will be equal to just dp of I plus 1 j minus 1. You have to just check the bottom, I mean, for example, see, suppose this string, what did we check? We checked the inner string. What did we check? The inner string. So the inner string was having this particular this inner string was true, right? For in the race car, what did we check? How did we check if race car was a palindrome? So to check if race car was a palindrome, first we checked if first and last characters are equal. They are equal, then we go to the inner string. How do you check the inner string? You just increment the row value by 1 and decrement the column value by 1. So in the DP table, you have to just increment I by 1 and then decrement j by 1. And if it is true, then it will be true. If it is false, it will be false. If the inner characters are not palindrome, even if the first and last characters are palindrome, this will not be a palindrome. Okay. Else what you can do, else you can, if s of I is itself not equal to s of j, then simply dp of ij is equal to false. Okay, so that is what it is. So you need not even give this condition. Why? Because already we are storing everything as false. Okay, but just for understanding, I have given it. So it's okay. And now what you can do, each time you can just if a dp of ij, if that particular value is true, then you can just increment count. So you can increment count, and finally you can just return count. So this is where my double for loops are ending, and finally I have returned count. So let's just run and see if it is working. So there is a compile error because I have given difference f capital here, otherwise it should be fine. So it is fine, and let's just submit this and check if it is working for all the test cases. So it's working. That's it. It's an accepted solution. Thank you for being patient and listen.